big shout out to you for making it through the hectic holiday season. This new year, get clean, quality, pregnancy nutrient support off your to-do list, including Ritual's best-selling Essential Prenatal Multivitamin, designed with 12 traceable key ingredients to support a healthy pregnancy. With big changes coming up, take the small steps now and start today with 30% off a 3-month supply at ritual.com/podcast. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
I have come here to chew bubble gum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubble.
Have I got a show for you tonight? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome back to the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, live and direct right here from the sumptuous and palatial SHR Media Studios. What a great show. For the first hour, we've got Alan Thomas. He's been here 4 times before. He's going to be here tonight by way of Facebook, crossing the phalanges that Facebook decides to work tonight. But that's all right. Usually after one call, another call, it usually works. All I have to say is this. You got to belly up to the bar. We've kept your seat, and it's great to see you back. Snowball is going to be your bartenders tonight. She pours with the best of them. And as you can see, back here, the lava lamp is in fact lighted. That means that you can listen and chat in the chat room at shrmedia.com, shrmedia.com. Or you can go to the SHR Media Facebook page. We're streaming live right there. You can go to the SHR Media YouTube channel, subscribe to us, like us, and subscribe to us. We'd love to see that. And also, we are streaming on Periscope. Just thought I'd let you know. We don't water our drinks, just like we don't water our conversation. Politics, religion, crime, culture, economics, race, sex, science, law. We talk about it all right here at the saloon. Nothing is sacred. The speech, she is free. But the booze, it is not. All that we ask is that you flush the toilet, jiggle the handle. Don't forget to tip your waitress. This is going to be a great show. Just when you think that there isn't much happening, hour by hour, yeah, there's a ton happening. Just even with the Kavanaugh thing. There's a ton of stuff happening. Oh, there we go. All right, now I can see chat. There's so much GURP in front of me. I put it out on Twitter so you can get a little bit of a glimpse of what it is that I'm seeing in my direction. And the reason that it's... you may have discovered that somehow magically the studio in here, at least... looking at the... Okay, right in front of me is the chat room on a big Spectre monitor, 27-inch monitor. And over here on the second 27-inch monitor is what I'm watching for the feed for the video. So if you've noticed, however, that within the past, say, 3 weeks, it's been getting lighter here in the saloon, though I used to like to keep it really dark. Well, one of the reasons it's getting lighter is I've got these 2 big-ass 27-inch monitors reflecting all this light back at me. Whew. Although the laptop that I've got right in front of me right here, that's the standard Sony Vaio laptop that I've got. Did you ever think that... oh, God, where are my manners? My mom... sorry, Mom. I forgot my manners, but that won't happen again. My manners are such that I got to say thank you to Mike, who is in chat. Thanks to Mary Brockman, who is in chat. Thanks to Simone, who is in chat. Thanks to Whiskey Dale, continuing Whiskey Dale. If for no other reason than, I'm sorry, Clyde Cam is broken, but the Bobcat that I use in all the promos, and the Bobcat that's sitting right over there, which customarily has his very own dedicated camera, but we're going to have to get another one because that one kind of tanked. The Bobcat is right over there, and trust me, everybody here at SHR treasures the Bobcat that somehow acquired the name of Clyde. I guess because of the orangutan, if you remember the Clint Eastwood series of movies featuring Clyde the orangutan. Now, what an orange orangutan has to do with Clyde the Bobcat? Now, I get the Bobcat thing, the Berserk Bobcat Saloon. I really thank Whiskey Deal for that. But Clyde, and anyway, Clyde was named by either Clint or Sean. I forget which. And, of course, Beantown Billy is in chat tonight, and I just really enjoy saying that. As I was saying, can any of this stuff, and we'll get to this in the second hour, but I'm just waiting for Alan to call in right now. Can any of this stuff with Kavanaugh get any more insane? Oh, wait, here. I have a message, I think, from Alan. And, yes. Okay, there we go. Okay. Alan just said, is this the one I should call? And I just said yes. So, okay. He should be calling in just a little bit. And like I say, we'll be talking about Kavanaugh. Like Whiskey Dale says in chat, right turn, Clyde. Great movie. Hey, if there's one thing that you remember about that movie is that, holy crap, was Clint Eastwood, I think he was in his 60s, either late 50s or early 60s in that movie. Holy crap, was Clint Eastwood in shape. HMOG. Whew, wow. Okay. And Alan Thomas just sent me another message. He'd been out. And he said he just got back. So once he settles in, he'll be calling in just a little bit. By the way, a little bit about Alan Thomas. He is a Sasquatch hunter, a paranormal investigator, a UFO devotee, and he knows tons of stuff about everything paranormal and essentially unexplained. Alan Thomas, he doesn't have a regularly scheduled show, but if you go to YouTube, Alan Thomas has his own channel, his own YouTube channel. Hey, Alan, I'm hyping you, my friend. I'm hyping you here. He has his own YouTube channel, and it's called The Squatch Zone. Now, he doesn't come on with regularity, and Alan can kind of be a lot of stream of consciousness stuff, but I tell you what, if you subscribe to his channel, and you gotta subscribe to his channel, okay, once you get into YouTube, all you need to do in that little search area up there is just type in Squatch Zone, okay? You'll go right to his channel, make sure you go down to the little button in the Squatch Zone and hit subscribe. So subscribe to his Squatch Zone. Oh, here we go. Here's Alan calling in. And let's pot that bad boy up. Alan, sir, are you there, my friend?
Yes, I made it. How do I sound?
You sound good. Good.
Great.
Hey there. Ritual here to give a big shout out to you for making it through the hectic holiday season. The magic of those family moments, that was you. And now there's new milestones to prep for in 2025. This new year, check clean, quality pregnancy nutrient support off your to-do list with Ritual. We've done the research to create science-backed pregnancy support like our prenatal multivitamin, natal choline, and fertility support, all designed to be taken alongside each other. But don't just take our word for it. They're also third-party tested for microbes and heavy metals and Clean Label Project certified. So whether you're trying, thinking about trying, or already there, we don't have to tell you that prioritizing yourself can be the hardest part. That's why we're helping you get started today with 30% off a 3-month supply for a limited time at ritual.com/podcast. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Big shout out to you for making it through the hectic holiday season. This new year, get clean, quality, pregnancy nutrient support off your to-do list, including Ritual's best-selling Essential Prenatal Multivitamin, designed with 12 traceable key ingredients to support a healthy pregnancy. With big changes coming up, take the small steps now and start today with 30% off a 3-month supply at ritual.com/podcast. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
I just want to let you know that as the good person that I am, I was hyping your YouTube channel. And so I was saying that, folks, like I say, you need to go to the Squatch Zone, enter Squatch Zone into that little search area up there on YouTube, and then make sure that you subscribe to the Squatch Zone. And you'll get notifications. You know, if you click notifications, you'll get notified every time that Alan is in there and he does a show. Alan's shows, Alan is ubiquitous. And number one, it's a great show, but Alan's show can be very stream of consciousness. It can be, depending upon his schedule, it can be like 45 minutes or I swear to God, we don't have this on tape, but there was a time when Alan Thomas and myself and Kaiser Schuff, maybe we'd been, I don't know, tippling a little bit, having a little bit to drink. Do you remember, Sir Alan, the time that we were on the air for 4 straight hours?
I really, it was closer to 5, believe it or not.
You know, you might be right. Folks, this is how long it was. Kaiser and I were talking. Alan said, hey, I got to go. My wife I think you had to go to the store or something like that.
Yeah. I actually went to Walmart, of all places.
That's crazy. That's just crazy. Okay, so Alan steps out. He goes shopping. And then in the meantime, Kaiser and I are still talking, and we've been talking so damn long that there's enough time for Alan to go shopping, get gas, come back. Maybe he caught a movie or two, I don't know. And then he comes back, and Kaiser and I are still talking. Good God.
It was great, too, because then I went like an hour or so in the beginning, and then left for an hour and a half easy, and then came back and did another almost 2 hours. It was great.
It was just wacky. Well, anyway, Alan is a great friend. I met Alan in I'm trying to think of when that was it 2012?
Either that or 2011. One of those.
All right, there was a paranormal show at the Crown Motel at Madison Avenue and Interstate 80, just out of Sacramento, and that's where I first met Alan and Jeffrey, and had a great time there. Struck up a relationship. Used to call in every once in a while to the old Paranormal Central show, and then Alan is he's just a great damn guy. He's a wonderful guy. This is your 5th time on the show. And the reason that Alan is so beloved is because if you don't know him at the end of our talking here tonight, you're going to discover that Alan is one of the greatest, the coolest, the nicest, the most insightful dudes that you are ever going to want. And at the conclusion of this, you are going to want to be notified when Alan has his next show, because he talks about all things paranormal, UFOs, unexplained, Sasquatch. He's big into Sasquatch, Bigfoot. And with that, I've got just about a metric ton of things and stories to talk to you about. A number of them are kind of strange, but let's back up a little bit. Art Bell, who I used to really enjoy watching, and I think you had a relationship with Art and his network, didn't you, Alan?
Yeah, I think it was 3 years. We actually were the headliner, besides Art, and I guess when he quit, we quit. So when he started Dark Matter Network, we started with him, and we were the show that was, I guess, the warm up show for Art.
Okay.
And we were doing 3 hours, and so every week 3 hours, and then Art Bell would go on, and then something happened. I don't know. I think he was having health problems, to tell you the truth, and didn't want to tell anyone.
Okay.
So he stepped down, and then we made the decision that if it wasn't art, then we didn't want nothing with it either. And so we stepped out too.
Well, you made an excellent decision by hooking up your reins to Art Bell, but Art Bell passed away earlier this year. And a lot of folks thought, well, that's kind of strange. We didn't see it coming. As a matter of fact, I played for a while. I didn't play it on the air. But I saw a video that Art Bell had made in Pahrump, Nevada. And Art Bell is, Pahrump, for those of you who don't know, is in the middle of nowhere. And Art Bell literally had just about a compound there. There are a bunch of like 15 to 20 foot dishes on his property, and the video, which I think was his last, was of him flying a drone, a 4-prop drone, up and capturing his compound. He's waving at it, and then it pans over to the mountains. It was absolutely gorgeous, but it was sort of this weird kind of strange. It was almost like in a fashion, he was saying goodbye. And I still miss Art Bell, because if this guy he set a precedent in the paranormal world, kind of like Rush Limbaugh did for conservative radio. But I have an article in front of me, which just came out, I think it was August 2nd, and I just saw it about a week ago. And now here's why. It indicated that Art Bell died from an accidental prescription overdose. So Art's April 13th death was the result of an accidental overdose of prescription drugs, authorities in Nevada said, according to the Associated Press. The autopsy showed the former Coast to Coast AM talk show died from multiple drug intoxication from his own lawfully prescribed prescriptions. And that was in a Facebook announcement. And that's sad. That's very sad. He didn't have to go. It wasn't intentional, I don't believe.
No, he just had a little boy, and his little girl he was watching grow up. I mean, the little boy was only just turned 1.
Right.
So he wasn't going anywhere on purpose.
No. You and I chatted just before we came on the air, and we sent messages back and forth on Facebook and whatnot. And there's one thing that I remember you said that I thought, oh, this is going to be some great fodder for the show. You said, and this is, I believe, almost a direct quote, you said that recently Bigfoot has been off the hook since Labor Day. You also said UFOs have been very, very active in the last 2 days. And then you said something that I found was kind of cryptic that I want to ask you about. You said it's been really kind of different. So maybe you can explain to myself and everybody else, okay, I get the activity about Sasquatch UFOs, but what do you mean but it's been really kind of different? It sounds like you're talking about everything paranormal. UFOs, Sasquatch,
Hey there, Ryan Reynolds here. It's a new year, and you know what that means. No, not the diet. Resolutions. A way for us all to try and do a little bit better than we did last year. And my resolution, unlike big wireless, is to not be a raging and raise the price of wireless on you every chance I get. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited. See mintmobile.com for details.
Explained all that. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. It started getting weird when, say 5 years ago, or maybe even 4 years ago.
Okay.
If we wanted to go Bigfooting or Sasquatching, we had to drive 3 hours and no cell service and just, go so far away in the mountains,
all right,
like almost to the wilderness. Now it's a 20-minute drive. Still sometimes no cell service, but 20, 30 minutes And like this weekend, I was at one lake, Labor Day.
Okay.
There's a Bigfoot sighting, 15 feet tall, is what they told me.
Whoa.
15 feet. They thought it was a bear, and they pull into, okay, now this is a lake that is only 15 or 20 minutes from 500,000 people. You know, and if you count the county, then, you know, a couple of million. And it's real popular because it's really close. It has a huge casino right on the lake almost. So, I mean, it's really like on Labor Day, everybody's last vacation hoorah thing. It's packed. And here, these people pull into their secret spot, and they have to hike over some rocks to get to this little beach that usually nobody goes to because it's a little bit of a trouble to get to it.
Okay.
And there's a bear drinking the water. At least that's what they think. And then as, you know, it notices or hears them because they have kids and everything, it turns and looks at them, and it's like, whoa, that doesn't look like a bear, you know. And then it stands up, and it's this huge man covered in black fur, jet coal black.
Okay.
And starts walking away from him. They say it's around 15 feet tall. So, and I'm thinking, wow, you know, because, and I actually was Saturday, I went out this Saturday to go look at the area, and I was actually supposed to be hanging out with Jeffrey at another lake that is 20 miles away, where there's Dogman and Bigfoot sightings. You know, in the last 3 months, just going crazy over there. So we had, at the exact time I was at one lake with a little team.
Right.
He was at another lake. Actually, he was below the dam. On the lake I was at. I went to the lake, and he was actually at the river where the lake empties into a river. And then they see a bright light when they're there. They see a bright light that they can't explain, like a UFO.
Uh-huh.
And at the very same time that he's over there and I'm at this other lake, we have some friends up at Dinky Creek. And they are having encounters with Bigfoot too at the same time, almost at the same time. And also, then when I come home, I'm hearing other people that went camping and everything Labor Day. You know, I started talking about this Bigfoot on Labor Day. And then all of a sudden, everybody's telling me about these green lights, orbs, and triangles that they were seeing in their,
okay,
you know, when they were camping and stuff like that. And I mean, it just all at once, everywhere is just going crazy. At the same time, there's ghosts when people they were fishing at the river, and they took a picture with the cell phone. The girlfriend took a picture, and then they were night fishing, sitting next to this old bridge that's all broken,
mm-hmm.
at the same place where I was, at the lake where I was.
Was that where you shot the video with the kids?
Yeah, I shot the video and I was showing the broken bridge thing.
Right, yeah, okay, all right, I know where you are.
Yeah, well, they on there, and I wanted to get the pictures and share them, but they're not sharing. They're Asian, and they're more, you know, keeping on the down low, you know, and so they're not sharing. But they showed them to me, and there's this little boy sitting right next to him fishing with them. And I mean right next to him, shoulder to shoulder.
Okay. Right
between them. And I'm thinking, oh my God, you know, can this get any better? You know, can this can this week get any better? You know, and it did. Here I am. You know, I'm on the show talking all about it. So it got even better just now. But yeah, just off the hook, crazy.
Okay, so you're In terms of California, for folks who don't know much about California, obviously we're the left, as I call it, we're the locus of, well, at least where I am. I'm broadcasting 2 miles from the state capitol in Sacramento. So we are, in fact, the locus of evil on the entire left coast.
Yeah.
But Fresno is 4 hours south of Sacramento. So it's kind of smack dab in the middle of California, but it's a semi-arid area. It's not desert like Southern California, and it's very agricultural, and Fresno now is just kind of booming around that area. So it's highly populated. So for you to say that all you have to do is drive 20 minutes, where before you had to get into the it sounds like the actual Sierra Nevada mountains before you could see any indicator of Sasquatch or Bigfoot. What is driving them down now, more into populated areas, do you think?
See, that is my big question now. I've been doing this 30 years.
Right.
I think 1987 is when I saw the first Bigfoot. And that the very next year began my start, of looking for these things.
Mm-hmm.
Now, and I've been very successful, and I've seen them again, and I found evidence and all that. Only if there was any sightings at all in the valley area, even up in your area, Tahoe, that's so active right now. I would love to go over there by Tahoe. I mean, they're having, it's almost like what's going on here is going on there.
Okay, so you're hearing then a lot of reports and a lot of activity up in the Tahoe area.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
And there's teams doing exactly what we're doing, and they're getting the same results and having the same kind of encounters. And the question is, okay, you can still drive, 3-4 hours into the wilderness and still run into them, like the Dinky Creek guy, the ones that were at Dinky Creek, encountering them at the same time as we were down here. So they're still up there. Only now they're down here. Are they being seen more down here, or are they are they taking more risk? Is something about to happen, that where, I don't know, full disclosure, and it's because they're going to disclose and, not because anyone else is. I don't know. It's getting so weird.
Okay, now you kind of went where I was going to go for the next question, and due to all the activity that you're talking about, because I'm sure you talk to a ton of people kind of in this field, in the paranormal Sasquatch, unexplained field, and so you're not the only one that's observing this stuff. There are a lot of other people that you speak to or you know of that are observing this stuff. Politics in D.C. is off the hook. Sacramento is off the hook. And now, basically, you're saying that the world of the unexplained is off the hook.
Yeah.
Is there any, just throw it out there. Do you have any kind of conjecture at all about why it is that we're seeing this cascade of events occurring in the unexplained, and the paranormal, and the UFO, and the Bigfoot world?
Well, I have a theory.
Okay. That's what I'm looking for.
It's not popular, but with people that don't like talking about God,
Mm-hmm.
but and they want to be. I mean, I understand. You know what I mean? I do. I used to be that way, but only. You notice, like when you start talking about Sacramento off the hook, DC off the hook, but really what else is off the hook? What is coming out that has been going on forever and ever, and then now all of a sudden, it's in the news, and it's in the news big time, and it's in conversations, all over the United States and maybe even the world, because these people are going down, pedophiles, Satan worship.
Oh,
I mean, a lot of stuff that people don't even think about.
The Catholic Church, for God's sakes, is off the hook. Yeah. Pope Francis. I'm sorry if some of you are Catholic in here, but I don't know how you can make any other conclusion that Pope Francis is off the hook. At the time when they need to be doing something very, very serious and addressing the issue, I don't see that they're serious. But that's just one thing in a number of things that you're observing.
Yeah, and then when now with the UFOs, okay, even Q came out asking the question last night. You know, he said the universe is very huge and all this stuff. And I mean, he actually was saying the highest clearance was the Roswell. Okay,
now when you say Q...
Q said it. Q posted it in one of his crumbs.
Okay.
It was like, what?
Explain what Q is or who Q is and what you mean by a crumb. And we've got 2 more minutes before the bottom of the hour break.
Okay, I'll make it really fast as I can anyways.
No, you can make it as long as you want. We'll just come back after the break and we'll pick it up. But, okay, who is Q?
Q, it's a reference to the highest clearance, Q clearance.
Okay.
Okay. And also the closest to the president.
Right.
And who I think it is a group of military that was watching our United States of America go down the toilet and decided they're going to do something about it, and there go Trump, right?
Okay.
And they actually talked Trump into running and then helped him and now are protecting him. And they're dropping crumbs, which are truths that are going to be proved later in, as the news and the MSM and we watch the Democrats and everybody fall apart. And right now he's saying, watch the rats run. They're like cockroaches, their whole world is falling apart, and that's what he's doing. And then he goes and talks, brings in the Roswell thing and says space is big, and is like, whoa, what did he do? Why did he say that? And it's always what he does is he, what I call a crumb, or he calls it crumb, and then you take all the crumbs and you bake bread with it, a loaf of bread, and that's the truth comes out. Right?
Is Q what people alternately refer to now? I've seen this QAnon. Is that?
Yeah.
That is the same person, is what you're saying?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And he's what he does, and people say, "Oh, it's just a big conspiracy and this and that," but he'll do things like some people didn't believe, and they said, if you're so close to the president, have him say something on TV when he's on TV that we know, and then he says, well, you pick what he says. And it was tippy something. And right on the very next time that President Trump was on TV, he said that.
Okay.
He said the exact words. And then Q comes back and says, was that good enough? And, do you believe in coincidences?
Okay, folks, we're talking to Alan Thomas.
Coincidences,
But we're going to have to take a break. We're talking to Alan Thomas, who is a Sasquatch hunter, a paranormal investigator, UFO researcher, knows tons of stuff. I want to come back after the break and talk a little bit more about Q or QAnon, and then you're trying to blend all this as a reason, because I really want to hear your reason. Folks, you were listening to Alan Thomas and BZ right here on the SHR Media Network. This is the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
The new show on the SHR Media Network, Sackheads Against Tyranny, on shrmedia.com. Go there quick like a bunny, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific, every Wednesday, live and direct on the SHR Media Network, shrmedia.com. Be there.
Human by race, Christian by faith, American by nationality and conservative by choice. Reverend Ralph J. Chittum Sr. is the right guy on SHR Media from 8:05 to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday. And if on the rare occasion I am ever wrong, I will still always be right. The right guy on SHR Media.
When dirty politicians, shadow governments, and deceptive Islam blind the world with fake stream media smoke, their only fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through SHRmedia.com, HighPlainsTalkRadio.com, and the Western Free Radio Network at Spreaker, YouTube, and iTunes for a different perspective weekly on the Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on BlogTalkRadio.com. There's
no surrender ever,
because truth is not always pleasant.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join us for The Right Way with Shannon and Mike, Monday through Thursday from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics.
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
And all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. here on SHRmedia.com.
Hey, who's going to take Sean's chair?
I'll run the buttons if you want.
The what?
The slider
the
thingies. Those
what?
Things.
We have those?
Yeah, right over there.
Where?
It's on the board. That damn technology.
Fucking technology.
I know. What are we going to call it?
Call what?
The show.
What?
The show.
What show?
The new show, Wednesdays. Every Wednesday on SHRmedia.com. 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. Sackheads.
Against tyranny.
There you
Against
go.
Against tyranny.
I like that. Let's do it.
You guys are porked.
Hello. I'm Tim Hart. I'm the guy BZ hires due to his shameless contract with the SHR Media Network to voice his promos. He'd like me to tell you that the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show can be found on SHR Media Network, Spreaker, and YouTube every Tuesday and Thursday night at 11 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Pacific, featuring right thinking from a left brain and doing the job the American media maggots won't. You'll find that the speech is free, but the drinks are not. There, in the saloon, just when safety pin manufacturers are running out of metal for the diapers of the leftists, BZ is sending his personal drones of freedom into the wheelhouses and ossicles of lovers of sovereignty and liberty nationally and globally. Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, BZ swears that no rights were harmed in the making of this promo.
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome back to the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, live and direct from the SHR Media Studios, the sumptuous and palatial SHR Media Studios. Thanks to everybody in chat. We're talking about Mike. We're talking about Whiskey Dale. We're talking about Mary Brockman. We're talking about Andy Wood. We're talking about Alan Thomas himself, who we have been speaking to. We're talking to Simone and St. Michael and Meantown Billy. So welcome and thanks to everyone for being here in chat tonight. When we left before the break, we were talking about Q or QAnon, and Alan Thomas was indicating that QAnon apparently is somebody on the inside of the Trump administration that's been parsing out what he calls crumbs that are lending credence to the fact that this apparently is an inside person. But apparently, according to what you're saying, Alan Thomas, he's now just not talking about DC stuff. He's talking about other stuff as well.
Yeah, and he is talking about I was trying to find the post, but I can't find it. He's been posting a lot, and really, it's not a he or a one person, one.
Okay,
person.
so it could be a series of people.
Yeah, and they all are very close to Trump. And, I mean, he's even said that there's been several attempts on Trump's life and talked about it.
I was worried about that.
You know, things like that.
Right.
But only and then Trump came out saying that he wanted to do a space army or a,
right. He wanted to start a space force.
Yeah, Space Force. There you go. And now he has went one step further with Q, saying that the universe is huge. And do you think there's anything out there with a question mark? And then he put that the highest clearance there is the Area 51. The 1947 Roswell thing. That takes the highest clearance.
Okay.
And that's pretty much all he said. He just said that, and then let everybody try to figure out that breadcrumb and bake a bread out of that, And he's really something. I mean, right now, a lot of what you talk about, he really talks about a lot.
Okay, so
he calls everybody patriots. Where we go one, we go all. And I like that.
So where is it that anybody can go to? I mean, is he on the dark web, or if people want to see or read what Q is saying, where would they go to find that?
It's real easy. It's called QAnon, one word, all lowercase,
okay.
.pub. QAnon.pub.
Okay.
And then it'll go right to where he has, and they've been trying to take him out. They took him off of Reddit. They took him off of Twitter. They're taking him out everywhere. They don't like him spreading this patriot stuff and talking about what Trump's doing, especially when he'll say something and within 1 minute Trump tweets it. Or Trump will tweet something and then within 1 minute he is putting some more to it on his, putting these breadcrumbs. But QAnon.pub.
Okay.
And you go right to his page. And I think there's even an app now if you have Android.
An app? Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay. Well, you were leading to the point, and you said for the first half hour that things are really active, and it sounds like it's a reflection of all the turmoil and the chaos that's going on in D.C. right now. And you kind of sounded like you were inferring that this is all connected. It all dovetails in some fashion. You said you had a theory about that, and that's what I'd like to hear, what you think is occurring.
What I think if we look at history for hundreds, if not thousands of years, so hundreds of centuries, we didn't have cars, we didn't have radio, we didn't have electricity, we didn't even have a flushing toilet. And in the last century, say, or century and a half maybe, we now can sit in an airplane 5 miles up in the sky and take like a 10-hour flight and be around the other side of the world.
Right.
And many other things like, get on your phone and tune in to a friend in Africa or anywhere, anywhere, and see it live streaming right this minute. This means that we're living in some kind of special time, and it seems like time is compressing or going faster, or so in all things, in every department, and especially I never really took notice of it until, a little bit, when you're sitting in an airplane and you're looking at a view, that people for thousands of years wish they could have seen, and they couldn't, or be cruising down the freeway at 80 miles an hour and like go to your house in 4 hours, which would have took, even though I'm in the same state, 3 months any other time, the other way, or half a year, Well, now I would think of it like that, like, wow, this is pretty special. We're living in a special time. Well, then all of a sudden, in the last couple of years, the paranormal is starting to become off the hook, just like everything else.
Right.
I mean, computers going off the hook. Everything's off the hook. And I mean, like you were saying, I talk to all kinds of people, and I don't talk about it that much with everyone because I can't prove anything. It's just like, I heard this or that, but really I do talk. I have all over the world. Oh, I should turn that off.
I know exactly what that is too.
Yeah, but I don't know if I turn the sound down, if I turn off the sound to you, so I'm afraid to touch it. But so now I'm paying attention, and I'm starting to look at prophecies that are thousands of years old that are talking about the days we're living in, and they're coming true. They're coming true. So I'm thinking that these prophecies that not just the Bible said, but lots of different people, and we're living in those days. And the only sad part is it doesn't have a good ending, for a lot of people. It kind of be like it's more earthquakes, and then even that's happening. More volcanoes, storms are going to go crazy. The ocean's going to roar. Those are the prophecies, and that's happening.
Are we heading towards the R word? Do you think in the Bible, Revelations?
I would say yeah. Mm-hmm. I would say yes. And I know it's not popular. It isn't. It is not popular. People don't like to hear that, but if you're like me, and like how I started off, it wasn't popular with me, but I research everything to the last, period or tittle, and and go way back and read everybody's religions and read about all the giants and all this stuff. And I mean, that's how I met Shuff. Was he killed a giant, and he came to me with it, and we talked about it, and then somebody signed him under an NDA, and I couldn't talk to him for a whole year about it because they were doing a TV show or something on it. And then when he got out from under the NDA, then we could talk about it again, and we've been buddies and talking ever since,
Folks,
but that is how we met, giants.
For those who don't know, and there may be some of you in here in chat, or if you're going to be listening later in podcast, I got a ton of hits in podcast. We're talking about Kaiser Schuff. Kaiser Schuff is a military guy. He was in the Army and the Marines, and once he retired from there, he's also currently a contractor. And he doesn't make any bones about where he is right now. He's currently assisting with things that he can't talk about in Afghanistan right now. Well, what Alan is making reference to, and if you're sitting in front of a computer with your favorite search engine, query Kandahar, Kandahar, giant, Kandahar giant. When he was in the military, Kaiser Schuff, along with a number of his fellow soldiers, came across, and was it in Alan, was it in Afghanistan where he came across the Kandahar giant? Well, yes, of course it was. Yeah. Kandahar, dumb. Yeah. So he came across the Kandahar giant, and there have already been TV shows on this. They just haven't revealed his name, and he generally doesn't want to be associated with that. And in this contact with the Kandahar giant, he had, I think he may have had a full platoon with him there. I'm not exactly sure, but there were a number of soldiers with him. The Kandahar giant attacked. they fired with M4s. The Kandahar giant was subsequently killed, but the reason that Kaiser doesn't like to talk about it is that one of his very good friends was killed in that incident, and he spoke about it.
The only one in that incident, because it actually took out a whole platoon, and that's what they were looking for.
Oh, okay. Okay, so there was I didn't get that part, that there was a prior incident. I just was aware of the one where he lost a good friend of his in that particular incident when it came out of the cave.
Right.
So Kaiser's a military guy. He knows what's happening, and he's a good friend of Alan's, and he's becoming a good friend of mine. That's who we're referring to here when we say Kaiser.
Yep. Yeah, and it's the truth guys. Like, you're the truth guy, and Shuff, he's a truth guy, and I try to be a truth guy as much as possible. You know, sometimes you don't know in the paranormal world, you know, because it's hard to prove, you know. And so you just say it and you let it prove itself. Because at first it's pretty theories, you know, but when does it go from being coincidences to not coincidences? That's what I want to know.
In chat, there are some interesting observations. Simone said in chat, it's like the paranormal is becoming normal. Andy Wood said, the prophecies are being fulfilled. Simone said again, look at the amount of rain in North Carolinas. Andy Wood said, animal die-offs, a big reset. So a lot of things are happening at once, and it's just as you indicated, Alan Thomas, that doesn't it seem to you, everybody, just like Alan said, that everything seems to be running so fast now?
Yeah, like condensing. Have you ever, like your phones, like the information technologies? I mean, everything is just on steroids, like compressing in, you know, I don't know how else to say it. It's just off the hook, and it's every kind of topic you want to talk about, really.
I still have a
Hollywood, and you start talking, and the first thing that everybody wants to talk about is the pedophiles and all that kind of stuff, you know. And you start talking about Democrats, and then they want to talk about Satan worshiping and drinking blood and children eating children and stuff like that. I mean, it's just it's almost like common. It's kind of like, what?
Well, yeah. Yeah, it's like Simone says. It's like the paranormal is becoming the normal. And so what I'm wondering, absent the paranormal aspect of this, is the way things in D.C., in our government, is this the new normal? Is it going to continue to be this chaotic? And I suspect, yes. We're seeing the new normal in terms of the paranormal, the unexplained, UFOs. Here's another thing. Let me ask you this, Alan Thomas. We got about 8 more minutes before the top of the hour break. I know I scheduled you for 1 hour. I've got a ton of stories to go over, not the least of which is the New Mexico Observatory. Because if you thought that was strange and you were talking about off the hook, I just got new information today about that observatory and some things that are being proffered as an official explanation, but it doesn't answer a percentile of the question. So I've got a ton of issues, a ton of articles, a ton of points to talk to you about. Is it possible for you to roll over the top of the hour and into the second hour for any amount of time, or do you have to go? I understand if you got to go at the top of the hour.
Oh no, I cleared my whole evening. I barely made it here in time though. My wife had me, you know, talk about compressed time. You know, she started me off early with errands and then laundry and then doing my son's laundry. He's disabled, and I mean, I just barely walked in the door from doing that, and I told her, man, I have like 2 minutes, and I'll see you in a couple hours. Bye. I ran in the office, shut the door. So I'm good. I don't even have anything on my slate.
Okay.
So we're good.
Beautiful, because I've got a ton of things lined up in the computer, printed out articles, all sorts of stuff. One of the things that drew my attention, however, there's a story out of the Great Falls Tribune in Montana, and I'm trying to look for a date on this. Okay, the date is May 24th, 2018, this year, and I saw this and went, what the hell? And there's video, and I remember watching this video. It says, mysterious wolf-like creature shot in north-central Montana near Denton. And you look at the photographs, and you look at the video, and you're thinking, okay, wolf-like, I get it. But in many ways, it doesn't look much like a wolf. And so they're saying, was it a wolf? Some kind of hybrid? Or a creature that hasn't been seen in Montana since the Ice Age? On May 16th, a lone wolf-like animal was shot and killed on a ranch outside Denton. It had long grayish fur, a large head, and a very extended snout. And it shared a lot of the same characteristics as a wolf, but the ears were way too large for a wolf. Its legs and its body, too, they were too short for a wolf. And so its fur was uncharacteristic of that as a wolf. And so they're wondering, what the hell species is this? What is it? And no one yet is 100% sure. They went to it got sent to the Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks lab in Bozeman. And then after that, and if you go to the greatfallstribune.com and you enter in wolf, you'll get the story. In this story, there's a photograph of this thing on the tailgate of a pickup truck. And you can see it. It's there. This is not a made-up photograph. It's there.
I think I saw that.
And so people are saying, well, okay, it's got all of these bizarre characteristics. So is it a grizzly cub? Is it a dire wolf? Is it a dog man? Is it a young dog man? And then once it went to the lab, then it disappeared. And nobody knows anything more about that.
And they came out with some like mundane, stupid little thing saying, nobody will believe. And still don't. Nobody does. Like a few weeks ago, somebody texted me, and I was saying, "Dang, you were trying to get a hold of me for this show last week," and I was saying, "Man, how did I miss BZ's text?" Really, it isn't really that hard to miss. I miss some other people, a lot of people's. Because I'm getting this compressed time thing, because of all the things going on, my texts are blowing up. My messenger's going like crazy. I mean, as I'm sitting there, it's like ding, 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 ding. I mean, it's ridiculous all over the world. But now, and for instance, a story where Jeffrey was at the other lake. This guy texted me, and he said that they were out there looking for Bigfoot, okay, because the Bigfoots are out there, and he felt like something was looking at him. He turned around, and 20 yards away from him was a wolf, but it was walking on two legs, and it was big. It was like 7 feet, and it was real buff. It was like a man-wolf thing with red glowing eyes. Soon as this wolf thing, seen that he was, spotted by the guy and busted, he's sneaking up on him, and he said it was stalking up on him. Soon as it's noticed that he was, they were aware of it, it turned around, dropped on all fours, and then jumped away like Spider-Man in the movie. In the Spider-Man movie where, jumping like 50 yards, and made several leaps and was all the way up the hill and over. And they were just sitting there with their mouth hanging open, like, how could something make those kind of like amazing Spider-Man leaps? I mean, that was the only thing that they could, they said that it looked just like Spider-Man leaping away and really long distances, and freaked them out. They left. They thought, man, it was so close. If it wanted to, it could have leaped right on their truck and, ripped the door off. And so it really freaked them out. But I don't know, what is all this stuff?
We got 3 minutes towards before the top of the hour break, and folks, we're listening to Alan Thomas. And if you haven't seen one of his shows, you need to go to the YouTube area, and in the search area, put Squatch Zone, Squatch Zone, and you'll see the archive of all of the shows that Alan has done in the past, and he knows everything about Bigfoot, Sasquatch, paranormal, UFOs, anything pretty much unexplained. And I'm getting
more regular now that I have a studio.
Well, I was going to say,
that's
another thing. You've got your studio up and running. You got yourself a board. You got yourself a computer. You got yourself a microphone. You got yourself a nice background, dude. From all the paintings and things like that people are sending to you, that is way cool.
I have some shelves I'm putting up. I mean, it won't be on camera, but it's like a museum. I have hundreds of items. It's going to be really neat. Only like what I've been doing is I'm working with an editing software, trying to learn it. So I want to mix it up. I want to do live at least once a week, but then I also want to go out in the field and bring things from out in the field, and then just edit together and upload it. But it's really hard to juggle all that stuff because the editing part and, shooting it and then putting it all together, that takes a lot of time. And I realize I might not be able to do one a week of those. So it's back to trying to do one a week live and maybe once every 2 weeks something recorded, and where I go out in the field and actually show the areas. Because it's one thing to talk about it, but it's another for the people to actually get their eye, almost like boots on the ground. You, even no matter where you are, you could be right there where they saw where it was, and maybe even see something maybe one day if I do it right.
If the Lord is with you and the paranormal world is with you as well. Folks, we're listening to Alan Thomas of the Squatch Zone. He has his own YouTube channel. This guy knows everything. Great guy, wonderful guy. We're going to take a break. When we come right back, I have an article that I wanted to read you because I happened to see it. My wife and I were watching a story on Netflix about mind control, and there's a guy named James Walbert that believes that he was implanted with a chip. Now, this may seem kind of freaky and weird, but it kind of dovetails with what I'm going to tell you about the New Mexico Observatory, because if you want to talk about off the hook, that went off the hook, and no one is explaining that thing yet. Folks, you're listening to the Bloviating Zeppelin right here, live and direct on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com. We're talking to Alan Thomas. Take a break. We're going to be right back.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
The new show on the SHR Media Network, Sackheads Against Tyranny, on shrmedia.com. Go there quick like a bunny, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific, every Wednesday, live and direct on the SHR Media Network. shrmedia.com. Be there.
Human by race, Christian by faith, American by nationality, and conservative by choice. Reverend Ralph J. Chittum Sr. is the right guy on SHR Media from 8:05 to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday. And if on the rare occasion I am ever wrong, I will still always be right. The Right Guy on SHR Media.
When dirty politicians, shadow governments, and deceptive Islam blind the world with fake stream media smoke, their only fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through SHRmedia.com, HighPlainsTalkRadio.com, and the Western Free Radio Network at Spreaker, YouTube, and iTunes for a different perspective weekly on the Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on BlogTalkRadio.com. There's
no surrender ever.
Because truth is not always pleasant.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join us for The Right Way with Shannon and Mike, Monday through Thursday from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics.
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
And all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. here on SHRmedia.com.
Hey, who's going to take Sean's chair?
I'll run the buttons if you want.
The what?
The slider
what?
thingies.
The
Those
what?
things.
We have those?
Yeah, right over there.
Where?
It's on the board. That damn technology.
Fucking technology.
I know. What are we going to call it?
Call what?
The show.
What?
The show.
What show?
The new show, Wednesdays. Every Wednesday on SHRmedia.com. 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. Sackheads.
Against tyranny.
There you
Against
go.
tyranny.
I like that. Let's do it.
You guys are porked.
Hello, I'm Tim Hart. I'm the guy BZ hires due to his shameless contract with the SHR Media Network to voice his promos. He'd like me to tell you that the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show can be found on SHR Media Network, Spreaker, and YouTube every Tuesday and Thursday night at 11 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Pacific, featuring right thinking from a left brain and doing the job the American media maggots won't. You'll find that the speech is free, but the drinks are not. There, in the saloon, just when safety pin manufacturers are running out of metal for the diapers of the leftists, BZ is sending his personal drones of freedom into the wheelhouses and ossicles of lovers of sovereignty and liberty nationally and globally. Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, BZ swears that no rights were harmed in the making of this promo.
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, you are listening to the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show live and direct right here at the SHR Media, the sumptuous and palatial SHR Media Network studios, 2 miles from east of the locus of evil on the entire West Coast, the capital of California, Sacramento, Fornicalia, where late at night the vapors of evil issue forth. And when I leave at 10 o'clock every night after my show, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night, you can smell the sulfur and the brimstone in the air. I'm not kidding. It's true. Would I ever lie to you? No, I wouldn't, as a matter of fact. Folks, we're talking to Alan Thomas, who lives down in the Fresno area, Sasquatch hunter, etc. And I've got a ton of stories. There's another story here. There's a story about the observatory. There's a gal that saw Bigfoot. She's suing the state of California. UFO activity is alleged to go up. It's alleged to go down. So many things to talk about with Alan Thomas. The first one, though, I want to kind of get to your conclusion in terms of you had a theory about why everything is happening, and I asked you if it had anything to do with the R word, Revelations, and or the end times. So is that where you think this is kind of heading, in that direction?
I'm pretty sure of that. In fact, there's somebody that I trust that I've been following for a long time, and he would be what you call a prophet, a New Age, or a today prophet of God, and he's predicting that we're actually seeing, because it's so easy. I mean, like I was saying, it's not popular to talk about God, and he's saying that what we're seeing is God taking back everything. And in fact, God is draining the swamp. God is getting rid of the pedophiles. God is getting rid of the Satan worshipers and the baby eaters, and we're going to see that whole thing taken down. This is what he's predicting, and he's laughing at this blue wave. He thinks that's the most funniest thing he ever heard in his life. He said the blue is going away completely. There's going to be no Democrats at all. And then it's going to be hard for people to say there isn't this deity. It's going to be really hard. And I believe that that's where we're at right now, is that. And once that all is revealed, and then you can't say, oh, there's no God or something like, in that, then the real R word starts.
One of the things that I've heard about Revelations, and I am no biblical scholar, I have to, maybe I should quantify myself a little bit. I believe in God. I believe in Jesus. I believe that on occasion God or Jesus may have spoken to me. That's how, you can put a tinfoil hat on me. I don't care what you think of me. I really don't. These are my personal opinions. And do I believe in church or heart? I'm not a man of churches. I'm kind of an isolationist. I believe in what I believe, and I predominantly keep it to myself and in my heart. I'm not a joiner. I'm not an organizer. I'm not a big fan of churches. For those of you who are, and it works for you, that's great. But I do believe in God. I'm not a biblical scholar. However, I have heard from other people that say that when we talk about Revelations, one of the images that people get is the entire planet essentially blowing up. Everyone is killed. It's like the 40 days and 40 nights of water, and just a few are spared. But some persons have told me it's not necessarily that. Revelations tends to lean towards more of a reorganization of what's going on. And am I kind of in the right area with that, Alan Thomas?
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right on the money. And, there's going to be, supposedly after all this, how the Bible talks about it is like a garden. They're talking about, we should just pull the people out. And God says, no, you can't pull them out, because you'll pull out the good with the bad, like the weeds. When you start harvesting, you're going to harvest the weeds in with it. So you got to let them grow up until you can tell the difference between the good plants that you want to harvest and the weeds. And we're right now at the harvest part, where now they're going to separate the weeds from and we're going to see that. We're going to see the weeds go away. And that's where we're going to be at. And I feel bad for these people, because they know, on some level, what you're doing is not cool. If you're killing babies and drinking the blood, or you're like Uncle Joe Biden and you're, playing with little girls, on some level, you're not supposed to do that. Come they can't have lost everything, but it seems like they did, and they say, hey, we can do whatever we want, and we're going to see all this go away, and real soon too. I mean, it's going to happen. It's actually happening. They've made how many arrests all over the world? It's ridiculous. 15,000, something like that. Hollywood's going down. I mean, those guys are running scared, man. And we're actually seeing. We get to live and see it. As far as like what's going to happen, I don't know. But I do know I studied all that stuff that you said you didn't study even before I even believed. And one of the things that helped me believe was every prediction for 6,000 years in that book, we there's thousands of them that came down to the exact, like Jesus hanging on the cross. That was predicted like 600 years. There's over 600 and something just of that man alone. And every one of them came true. There's only a few left when he comes back. And I think we're working towards him coming back.
For those who don't believe, let's say that not let's say, there's a ton of secular people out there, and I get them on my blog, and I get them trolling me on Twitter and putting comments in my blog that, it's unfair to atheists, blah, 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 and my casual response generally is, I don't care. But I'm having people that would customarily be placed in these folks are really clued in, head on their shoulders, great head on their shoulders, tons of common sense, really good thinking, great people. More and more of these people are coming to me, and they're saying on the QT, BZ, I can't help but feature that in some fashion, and some people have specifically told me these specific two words. A couple of folks have said, I can't see that there isn't another civil war coming for this nation. And they're not holding back. They're saying that it's not, well, I see some unrest, I see some turmoil, I see some turbulence. They're saying, and they're backing it up by saying, we are at such a divisive crossroads that there needs to be something, and folks have said this specifically, there needs to be something cathartic, some kind of epiphany, if you will, before any of this stuff is going to change. With that in mind, a lot of these people who passing them on the street, you would think that they're not nutters. They're not, with their guns and their Bible and all the bad stuff that Obama said about people that are good people. But these are folks that are good family people that are really very, very worried here in the United States. And two people, for example, just this week, one on the telephone, the other one in a text message. Oh, and a third, when I was having lunch, has said, I don't see any other way out of this because we're at such loggerheads other than some cataclysm, some kind of a United States civil war, and then and only then might some of this settle out. And that's predominantly disturbing, not to say that I'm not prepared, because I'm just that way. I've been an oath keeper for a long time. But even the people that are not following me, that are not following you, that are not big paranormal people, that are not folks that pick up their Bible and they read it every night, the folks are starting to... They are, yes. Yeah, it's like their spidey sense is starting to tune in, and the hairs on the back of their neck are starting to stand up because of the things that they're seeing.
I'll predict something.
Okay.
This is from years of research and studying what's going on, and then trying to keep my pulse on what's going on, in the paranormal world, and then what's going on in the world. I predict that there is a coup that's happening right now.
Oh, I completely agree with that.
But only when the actual truth. Right now, it's so it's shrouded in mystery, and it's like looking through a glass that you can't see through, like what do you call those? Frosted glass. You can see the shadows moving around back there, and something's going on, but you don't know what it is, and it's scary. Only not long from now, the actual head of this snake of that everybody that's causing all the discontent and all this stuff is going to be whacked off, and actually a lot of it might be already chopped off, and we don't know, and it's happening on the down low, kind of like where Chef's at. Like, he might be part of it over there, but can't talk about it. But you see him, he's very cheery and happy, That's because we're winning. And everybody needs to take heart. We are winning, and this is going to go away. There is probably not going to be a war, because as the truth comes out, a lot of the people that are against this whole movement, they want to believe that they're this normalcy that they believe in. And when they see that they've been took and lied to, and that it wasn't true, everything was fake, and they're going to get mad, and they're going to be on the same side as everyone else, like, hey, hang them high. And I think that's what's going to happen. That's my prediction. No war. That the snake's head's coming off, and there's going to be a lot of people that people like, or they think they like, and they look up to, and they're going to be really bad, and they're going to be outed, and the truth is going to come out, and nobody will be able to deny it, and that'll be the end of it after that.
Folks, it should come as no surprise that I am a political animal. I've been a political animal for quite some time. Politics is what I really do. And I like to talk to Alan because Alan grounds me in a way, and I get to chat back and forth with him, but my predominant forte is in terms of politics. I like to be aware of what's going on around me. That said, some of the things that Alan is saying right now are merging, and it's all coming together because there are, let me put it this way. I hope that everybody here that's listening right now, that's in chat, that listens to me in podcast. I know that there are some truckers on the road because I've started to appeal to the truckers, and if you're driving, God bless you. Hope you have a great, safe night. But we must all get out and not make assumptions and not be assumptive that things will automatically be okay. And by that I mean in November 6th, that's when you get out. That's when you vote. Don't listen to the polls. If people tell you voting night that we're losing, tune them out. If they tell you that morning that we're losing, that conservatives are losing, and that people that believe in God are losing, and that people that have an actual concern for other people that we're losing, that we're on Team Red, that we're losing, don't believe any of them. Don't believe what they're saying. Take it upon you if you're an early voter, if you vote absentee ballot, fill that bad boy out and send it in as soon as possible. November 6th, get in there and vote. Assume nothing. Absolutely nothing. Vote.
That's our duty right there.
Yes.
That is the war.
Yes, that
and
is.
How we win is we go vote. That is how we win.
Bingo. Vote red in November. Overwhelm the vote. You can remember November 9th when we had the election, November 8th in 2016. On November 9th, that's when everything changed. And it didn't change because conservatives got more evil. It changed because the Democrats, or what I call the LDAM, the leftist Democrats and the American media maggots, were so gobsmacked by the fact that Hillary Clinton was not installed as President of the United States because it was her turn. That was their sincere belief. Everything turned upside down the morning of November 9th, and that's when all this crap started to head downhill. So Donald John Trump, the guy with the dead orange cat on his head, I have to go with what I see him do. I go by deeds, not words. Deeds, not words. And we're finding...
I would love to run for office right now just to see what they dig up. I'm serious. Because they could catch me streaking in 1974 at a pep rally at my high school. I mean, come on. I mean, like, nobody's perfect. You know what I mean?
No, that's...
Nobody. Like the guy that they're trying to get in the Supreme Court. They don't want that guy in there because he's going to hang them. That's why they don't want him in there. Well, they're scared.
I'll tell you why.
They're swinging from a rope.
I'll tell you why they're very afraid of him, because they're not winning in terms of leftists are not winning in terms of the popular vote. So what they've relied upon for the past 2 or 3 decades is various forms of the court, because they can't win in a popular fashion. And despite all the polls, this is still a conservative nation. This is still a nation that believes in God. No matter what anybody else tells you, you can get out and you can hear it and you know it. Folks, you have a sense of normality, don't you? Kurt Schlichter calls you and me now, because we've been dragged kicking and screaming into this, he calls us militant normals. And I have to agree, I'm normal. Alan Thomas is normal. Simone, Mike, Andy, Beantown Billy, Mary, we're all normal people. We don't take 5-year-olds and try to make them transgenders. We don't advocate for basically the genocide of the black race by way of Margaret Sanger and Hillary Clinton, saying that we need to abort as many people as we possibly can because, hey, what could possibly go wrong with that? Absolutely nothing. We're the normals. They're not the normals. And
what if I told you the abortion thing is the power of the enemy? What in a paranormal way, okay? In an evil paranormal way, that the power that like when you sign your life away to get a record deal, if you listen to some videos of some famous movie stars and musicians, they talk about how they have to work for the boss, the real boss, the one you can't see that runs everything. What if he got his power from that? What if that is the machine that drives the power in that? And if they take that away, what if that weakens that power?
Well, politically speaking, if you remember the day after November 9th, the day that everything changed, it's like September 10th, 2001, hey, everything's hunky-dory. September 11th, that changed everything. November 8th, 2016, everything was hunky-dory. November 9th, 2016, everything changed. Let me throw this out to you. A what if? What if leftists who lost their heads and became incredibly violent, and yes, it's all on the part of the leftists. You have to ask yourself, what's going to happen if... Now, see, commonly, the party in power in the Oval Office loses seats in the House and sometimes the Senate in an off year, in midterm elections. What if, I'm throwing this out there, folks, I'm throwing it out to you, Alan Thomas. I'm throwing it out there to anybody that's listening live right now, and if you happen to be listening in podcast. What happens if November 7th, we gain seats, meaning conservatives, gain a few seats, or at least keep exactly what we've got in the House, 435 total, maybe we gain a couple, 2 or 3, and nothing changes in the Senate, and we gain maybe 1 or 2, which means that we're still, we have the triumvirate, the Oval Office, the House, the Senate, Congress, in other words. How many heads will explode on November 7th of that? And I submit that if that occurs, if we saw rioting, if we saw violence, and, of course, I truly believe, I think that Judge Kavanaugh is going to get confirmed. He's going to be besmirched. People will try to tar and feather him and stain him. But what if we keep Kavanaugh and we keep every seat that we have now, or perhaps gain a few, as it turns out, on November 8th? That's a massive, okay, what then? Because I believe that leftists, the LDAM, they have no other options. They featured that they have no other options except to explode, uncork, and if we saw insanity, you'll see geometric insanity if that occurs November the 7th. Any thoughts about that, Alan?
It's going to be, man, you're a warrior, and I bet God loves you because you're like out there hitting the enemy every week. You're giving them a bloody nose. I love it, man. I love it. I don't sometimes sit in the chat, and I really apologize for that, but only I listen to all of them. And you're out there, man. Not in a bad way. I mean, you are spreading the message, bringing the truth, and giving them a bloody nose every chance. And I love it, man. I love it. I love listening to you. You are right on, man. Right on.
Thank you very much. And the reason that I'm doing that, and the reason I believe that, we got 2 more minutes before the bottom of the hour break. The reason I believe that is because I have met evil. In my former job, after I retired in 2016, I had 41 years in law enforcement. I know what evil looks like. I know what it smells like. I know how it talks. I know how it walks. I've seen things that, folks, I've been shot at 3 times. I've returned fire once. I ended up killing an individual many years ago. The FBI came to visit. 18 U.S.C. 1983 came to visit as well. And I remained stalwart in the face of that. People were not going to take me down. I've had the Catholic Church hide priests on me when I was in child abuse. I videotaped the Richard Trenton Chase scene where back in the 70s he killed people, killed an entire family, and ate a baby. And I had to videotape that scene. I've seen numerous people killed. I've seen people killed because they disagreed with the batteries in their remote. And I've seen people stabbed, cut, eviscerated, run over, beheaded. I've seen any number of things. I know what evil looks like. And having fought evil on that way, I resolved that I was going to continue to fight evil whenever I could. I think I've done the best job that I could in 41 years. I was in patrol. I was in detectives. I was in robbery, homicide, child abuse, sex assaults, warrants, theft, any number of places. And I know how evil operates. I know its MO, its modus operandi. And I see way, way too much evil. And I see, sadly, I see evil being mainstreamed by the left. But let me be specific and completely clear, by the left. And because I know what I've seen, and I've witnessed it personally up close, when you do nothing, evil prospers. And we cannot afford to let evil prosper at all. Folks, we're talking to Alan Thomas. We got to take a break. You're listening to the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show at shrmedia.com. That's where you can go quick like a bunny. We'll be right back after this.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
The new show on the SHR Media Network, Sackheads Against Tyranny. On shrmedia.com. Go there quick like a bunny, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific, every Wednesday. Live and direct on the SHR Media Network. shrmedia.com. Be there.
Human by race, Christian by faith, American by nationality, and conservative by choice. Reverend Ralph J. Chittum Sr. is the right guy on SHR Media from 8:05 to 9 p.m., Monday through Friday. And if on the rare occasion I am ever wrong, I will still always be right. The Right Guy on SHR Media.
When dirty politicians, shadow governments, and deceptive Islam blind the world with fake stream media smoke, their only fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through SHRmedia.com, HighPlainsTalkRadio.com, and the Western Free Radio Network at Spreaker, YouTube, and iTunes for a different perspective weekly on the Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on BlogTalkRadio.com. There's
no surrender ever,
because truth is not always pleasant.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join us for The Right Way with Shannon and Mike, Monday through Thursday from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics.
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
And all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. here on SHRmedia.com.
Hey, who's going to take Sean's chair?
I'll run the buttons if you want.
The what?
The slider
The
thingies. Those
what?
things.
We have those?
Yeah, right over there.
Where?
It's on the board. That damn technology.
Fucking technology.
I know. What are we going to call it?
Call what?
The show.
What?
The show.
What show?
The new show, Wednesdays. Every Wednesday on SHRmedia.com. 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. Sackheads.
Against tyranny.
There you
Against
go. Against
tyranny.
I like that. Let's do it.
You guys are porked.
Hello, I'm Tim Hart. I'm the guy BZ hires due to his shameless contract with the SHR Media Network to voice his promos. He'd like me to tell you that the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show can be found on SHR Media Network, Spreaker, and YouTube every Tuesday and Thursday night at 11 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Pacific, featuring right thinking from a left brain and doing the job the American media maggots won't. You'll find that the speech is free, but the drinks are not. There, in the saloon, just when safety pin manufacturers are running out of metal for the diapers of the leftists, BZ is sending his personal drones of freedom into the wheelhouses and ossicles of lovers of sovereignty and liberty nationally and globally. Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, BZ swears that no rights were harmed in the making of this promo.
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome back. This is the final 25 minutes of the 2-hour standard Thursday bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show from the SHR Media Studios, 2 miles from the veritable belly of the beast, the Bill Mill, the capital of California, Sacramento, where I am broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California. We are talking to Alan Thomas. He's been kind enough to be here for the entire 2 hours. Alan is a wonderful guy. You got to go to his YouTube channel called Squatch Zone. When you go there in YouTube, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like his stuff. He's got a ton of material in archives. Go back, listen to his stuff. What my wife likes to do, my wife likes to listen to Alan in bed. Now, okay, maybe that sounds like there's something going on between Alan and my wife, but the fact is that no, there isn't. Mrs. BZ just likes to listen as she drifts off to sleep. She likes to listen to Alan's great stories and the things that he talks about when he broadcasts, and he broadcasts live. If you subscribe to his stuff, if you click the notifications the next time that he's on, hey, you'll get notified. And it's like, bing, Alan Thomas is on, and you're going to hear some really interesting stuff. So, Alan Thomas, again, welcome back. In the intervening time since we've been here, however, I got a text message I still know a ton of people in the FBI. I still know a ton of people in local law enforcement and law enforcement all around the nation. There's another individual who said, by the way, a Yolo County deputy, which is the county just west of Sacramento, where Davis, the Republic of Davis, rests. A Yolo deputy said that there was just a robbery out in the county at a legal grow site. By the way, I should tell you, if you don't already know, dope, marijuana, is legal in the state of California. We knew all this was going to be coming, and it's here. It's here to rest. 4 guys with AR-15s just went in and took down a dope store. Boy, that's really smart. The other thing that I have to tell you was going to lead in with it if Alan couldn't be here for the second hour, is that today is Thursday. At least it is on the West Coast. It's tomorrow. It's Friday on the East Coast. But unfortunately, on Monday of this week, we, meaning the Sacramento County Sheriff's Department, which is where I used to work for 35 years, we lost another deputy. There were 2 deputies that were responding to a call in Rancho Cordova, and one of the deputies, Mark Stasiuk, was killed. He was 27 years old, and he'd been on the department for 4.5 years. He just recently got out of the jail and passed training. He died at the UC Davis Medical Center. The sheriff said that I can tell you the fatal round was not in the vest. I can tell you that he was shot in the head, as there was a running gun battle in the parking lot just adjacent to Pep Boys on Folsom Boulevard. They originally got a call of some kind of a disturbance between that customer or a customer and the business owner. So when the deputies were responding, they were thinking that it was going to be some kind of a disturbance or what they call a 415, some kind of a routine call. And the suspect turned away from them, and as he did, he snapped around and began firing at the officers without any warning. There was another deputy with Deputy Stasiuk. Her name was Julie Robertson. She returned fire. She was able to return fire. She was wounded. She was hit in the arm. There was a bystander that was hit. Nobody knows exactly which round injured the bystander. The suspect was also struck, and some witnesses said that there were about maybe 20 rounds shot. Deputy Robertson, the other deputy, she's 28 years old. She's been with the department for 2.5 years. She's going to be okay. The bystander was shot in that gunfight. They think the bystander may have been shot in the back. They don't know who provided that particular round. They're still trying to figure out what happened. The suspect is a black dude named Anton Lemon Moore. He's 38. He's been arrested numerous times. The arrests have to do with gun violence and other forms of violence. They had that area closed down for quite some time. Unfortunately, this is the 3rd deputy. I did not know Mark Stasiuk. All the other deputies that have been killed, I knew. Many of them worked for me personally. Mark Stasiuk did not work for me. We've lost 3 deputies in 4 years in the sheriff's department. This is highly reflective, I believe, of the tumultuous times in which we're living. I did not like going to officers' funerals, and when I didn't absolutely have to, I didn't. I did not know this deputy. He leaves behind a wife. He is so newly married that he's only been married for a couple of months. He hasn't even had the ability to have kids yet. And so when I tell you that I've seen evil, well, I've seen it. And I've also seen the results of evil. And I'm to the point now where when people begin to advocate and seriously advocate for the things that I'm seeing on behalf of the left, I really cannot begin to quantify much of what they're demanding as evil. I've seen it. I've faced it. And without people to stand up to it, it will succeed. We must stand up to this. You, me, Alan Thomas, get out and vote. Get out and vote November 6th. That's all I can say about that. I had another article that I wanted to go into because it will be concomitant with another story that is getting more bizarre by the day. I was notified about this guy when I watched a documentary about mind control and about people, humans, being chipped who didn't know somehow that they were chipped. Well, this is a story that at first glance you would think, oh, this is crap. But it went to court, and the guy who was chipped won his court case. So this isn't bullshit. There's a story out of Wired magazine, which deals with I can't say new age stuff, but it deals with electronica and people who are very interested in technology. And the headline is, Court to Defendant, Stop Blasting That Man's Mind. So as I read this article and I go over it, remember some of the key points of this, because this will transition perfectly into the New Mexico Observatory. And I would like to have Alan Thomas's thoughts and opinions on this when I'm through. The guy's name is James Walbert, so you can get into your favorite search engine and type in his name, Walbert. Late last year, James Walbert went to court to stop his former business associate from blasting him with mind-altering electromagnetic radiation. Walbert told the Sedgwick County, Kansas panel that Jeremiah Redford threatened him with jolts of radiation after a disagreement over a business deal. Later, Walbert said he began feeling electric shock sensations, hearing electronically generated tones, and getting popping and ringing sounds in his ears. Okay, stop just for a minute. Does this sound familiar to anybody? Does this sound familiar in terms of, do you remember the U.S. consulate, the embassy in Cuba, and how a number of members of the Department of State said that they were feeling nauseous and they complained of injuries, and the first reaction by the U.S. government was, you're full of crap. Well, it would appear that this court verified what occurred to this man, James Walbert. On December 30th, the court decided in Walbert's favor and issued a first-of-its-kind order of protection, banning Redford from using electronic means to further harass Walbert. Seriously. There was a BBC program on Radio 4, which kind of took a sort of a lighthearted look at the Manchurian Candidate and asked whether there was truth, any kind of a truth, in stories of mind control. So people began to examine exotic non-lethal weapon technology and concepts like the telepathic ray gun, the system that basically sends sounds directly into your skull, and people call it's like listening to the voice of God. And many of those things are just experiments or examples of like PowerPoint engineering. But in some of the legal, policy, and business circles, electromagnetic brain assaults are being taken very seriously. Now, there's a Republican member of the Missouri House of Representatives by the name of Jim Guest who took Walbert's cause very seriously. And so he's working on proposed legislation to address electronic harassment, including a bill against the forced implantation of RFID chips. The UN is now taking seriously the possibility of electromagnetic terrorism against people. And for the first time, this year's European Symposium on Non-Lethal Weapons included a session on the social implications of non-lethal weapons with specific reference to privacy, invasive remote interrogation, and behavioral influence applications. A lot of this stuff comes from people with symptoms caused by something less exotic than high-tech military software. But people are no doubt they're gonna sell expensive protection measures anyway. And it turns out that though the government didn't want to admit it, I think it was 3 years after the event in Cuba, now we're getting information from medical professionals that those things did occur to those people in Cuba. So at this point, Alan Thomas, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, like, when you go back to Senior Bush, when he started the war, and they were going to do the shock and awe over there. And we had the big convoy going. And on the news, it was showing, this big, long, 8-mile convoy. And as they would come up on the enemy, 8,000, 5,000, they would all be kneeled down with their hands on their head. And it wasn't because there was a 8-mile convoy coming. It was because they were talking in their mind, telling them God told them to. And they've been using that like that. And it's going to get worse. This 5G, I mean, that's what cell phones and stuff like that, now that they know what the frequency of the brain is, all bets are off, man. They can speak to everybody, and it isn't really that hard. The only one that gets me is because I hear about this and a lot of people ask me these questions. Now, I don't think the local law enforcement has it, though, and some people say they do, and I don't think so. I have relatives that are law enforcement, and they're not doing that. They might be having to do some things they don't want to do, but it isn't that.
No, I can tell you that local law enforcement does possess stingrays. Those are the devices that mimic cell phone towers and can basically steal anything, like a big Hoover, like a big vacuum cleaner, off of those things. I am remiss in not mentioning that this. Mike in chat asked you a question, and I forgot to go into it, and now I want to ask you this question on behalf of Mike. And we're changing gears here just a little bit, but I want to get back to this solar observatory because this is a strange story. But Mike in chat said, Alan, what do you think is the biggest community of Bigfoot that you have knowledge of?
Well, for me, like I don't know, I don't get around like other states and stuff like that. I've heard usually they're in little clans of like 3 to 5. There's one near us that started out as 5, and it was reported as, people were reporting, and different people in a probably 8 or 9 mile radius, even children that walking home from school and stuff like that would see them. But there was 5, ranging from 14 feet to 5 feet tall. And then as we went and started investigating it, we realized there was 8. There was one that was white, completely white. And the white one I had been hearing about and looking for at different places over the last 25 years. So I knew about the white one, but I didn't know that it was hooked up with this one clan. But it makes sense that because he runs in the same geographic area as these 5. And now we're finding there might be some little or even 2 little ones added to that. So that the white one makes 6, the 2, the little girl and little boy make 8.
Okay.
And that's the most I know.
I want to get back to the story, and this is going to be the final story for the night. And folks, we're listening to Alan Thomas, and I want to thank you ever so kindly, sir, for being here for the full 2 hours. But this story...
I want to thank you for even having me, my brother.
This story originally came out on September 13th, so it's not that long ago. And this is from kansascity.com. And it says, FBI mum about sudden closing of solar observatory. Conspiracy theories fill the silence. Mystery continues to surround the sudden shutdown last week of the National Sunspot Solar Observatory in New Mexico. That caught my attention just in and of itself. The Sunspot Solar Observatory in New Mexico, which remained closed Thursday by the FBI with little explanation offered. The silence has given rise to guessing games and conspiracy theories bouncing around the internet and social media about what happened at the facility in the Sacramento mountains, especially given reports that the FBI was involved. Now, the observatory, which is near Alamogordo, New Mexico, was totally evacuated last Thursday, and that was reported by the Albuquerque Journal and other media outlets. And the observatory itself came out with a document that said, Sunspot apologizes for the continued closure of the facilities. And that was a statement on their Facebook page. The Association of Universities for Research in Astronomy, AURA, is addressing a security issue at the National Solar Observatory facility at Sacramento Peak, New Mexico, and has decided to temporarily vacate the facility as a preliminary caution. Aura, which maintains Sacramento Peak with funding from NSF, is working with the proper authorities on the issue, and we have no further comment at the time. And so Aura said, okay, it's our decision that we're going to evacuate the facility. But the spokesman also said, I'm actually not sure when the facility was vacated, but it's going to stay vacated until further notice. That's bizarre. Okay, now the sheriff of Otero County, where this resides, named Benny House, said the FBI was involved in what he described as an elaborate shutdown process, and he said the FBI is refusing to tell us, meaning him, meaning local law enforcement, what's going on. This is, again, what I find very interesting. And remember this as I go to the other article that I have. There was a Black Hawk helicopter, the sheriff said, a bunch of people around antennas and work crews on towers, but nobody would tell us anything, according to the local newspaper, and that's what the sheriff told them. And that the observatory entrance was marked off with yellow crime scene tape on Friday. The Sheriff House, said his department got a call from people that work at the facility who asked if we could send a deputy to stand by while they're evacuating, because all the other employees are packing up and leaving. And the FBI bureau spokesman for that office, a guy by the name of Frank Fisher, said he would neither confirm nor deny FBI involvement. And so people all over the country are trying to piece together what's going on. And some of the people, they're saying that the default position is that this has something to do with aliens. I'm going to tell you I don't believe so. But then, when it was strange and there were no real clear answers for what was going on, this article came out. And to me, Alan Thomas, when you hear this, I really want to hear what you think, because I can conclude nothing else than this is just specious bullshit. But this came out from USA Today. This was published today by USA Today, the 20th. It says, mysterious solar observatory evacuation caused by a child porn investigation, FBI documents say. The sudden and previously unexplained evacuation of a New Mexico solar observatory on September 6th was prompted by a child pornography investigation, according to FBI documents. An individual is suspected of utilizing the wireless internet service of the National Solar Observatory in Sunspot, New Mexico, to download and distribute child pornography, Reuters reported on Wednesday. And they're citing newly unsealed FBI records. So a laptop was seized without the knowledge of the suspect, a janitor, apparently. The evacuation came after that person became increasingly agitated, prompting concerns about the safety of staff at the observatory. And so in the wake of all that stuff, nobody's really said anything. There's widespread speculation and conservative and conspiracy theories. Now, I'm going to stop right there and ask you, Alan Thomas, as a normal person, does this pass the smell test to you?
Not at all, man. What in the world? Well, only I know some more stuff about that went on at the same time.
Okay.
That it hasn't, the news hasn't been saying, but only other things were taken offline that look into the, solar things and space telescopes. Something around 8 of them were taken offline at the very same time. Only they went back up in a few hours.
Here's what I can tell you that I know as having been in law enforcement, which is why this doesn't pass the smell test for me at all. Now, some people I've heard have said that the FBI doesn't have Black Hawk helicopters. That's wrong. They do.
Yeah,
HRT has them. HRT is based out of Quantico. I went to HRT. I know what it's like. They have a helicopter and a wonderful hangar. There are a couple of helicopters that they pull out on these little trolley trailers when they want to go someplace if they find themselves shipped out and sent to various locales. So I know for a fact HRT at Quantico does in fact have helicopters. They are originally Hueys. They've been updated over the years, so that's false. So the question would be, because these are generally electronic crimes, that is to say, yes, the FBI does involve itself in child pornography, and they're very interested in hardware and software involved, and maybe the janitor may have been involved in doing something like that. In an investigation of this nature, you don't bring a Black Hawk helicopter. I can understand why you might evacuate the facility. But the other thing that's unsaid here is there are other articles indicating that portions of the surrounding area were evacuated as well, and people are not yet allowed back in to the observatory and also to various residences in the area. Now, what do we know already about sunspots, Alan Thomas? There is a concern that there has been very little sunspot activity recently, and that's been of concern to some scientists. So there's that aspect of it.
What I heard is there's something out there near the sun, and maybe that was why Q put that breadcrumb that he did about the aliens and space. And then I also heard, I have my fingers on the pulse of everybody. It's kind of weird.
Okay.
But I know people around over there too, and they actually went over to that to check it out. They heard about it,
mm-hmm.
and they said they walked around unaccosted. Totally walked around everywhere over by that place, and there was nobody anywhere. And they parked just outside, but they walked in and they walked all over the place, and there was nobody. And they said that there was nobody there at all, not a security guard, not a policeman, not a caretaker, nothing. And they walked all around over there. So, what danger was over there? And why does it have to be closed? It's all conjecture, but I actually think there's something that can see, and maybe there's something coming into that area that they don't want anybody to see, so everybody had to be out.
I'm wondering if it did, in fact, have something to do with sunspot activity or the lack thereof. The child pornography aspect does not pass the smell test at all, because you don't need to raid a facility and close down facilities. You can do it for the amount of time that it needs to take the suspect into custody. After that, you release the site and release the area, unless you have more evidence to gather. But in a crime of that nature, the evidence tends to be electronic equipment, maybe surrounding indicia as well, hardware, software, and that's about it. Then you take the suspect and go out and you start conducting your interrogations, and it leads you to other suspects, other witnesses, etc. But you don't need a Black Hawk helicopter to do it, and you don't shut down a facility for days on end and not release it. That makes very little, if any, sense. I'm also going to throw this out there, too, because of the article that I just read about Charles Walbert and about the information that we know about the sonic attack, essentially, is what I believe this gets down to, of the embassy employees by the Department of State in Cuba. Now that makes me wonder, is this linked to that in some fashion? All I can say in conclusion is very little of this passes the smell test, and then when you purposely leave out local law enforcement, which of course the FBI's want to do quite frequently, they've done it in the past and they will do it again. But to do this in terms of a child pornographer, an individual concerned with child pornography, none of this, period, none of this passes the smell test. Alan?
See, for me, it's more like to clear it out like that, and for days, not hours or anything, days, there has to be something going on there. They're either installing something there, or they're uninstalling something over there, or they're actually, like you were talking about the China thing, maybe there was an attack being beamed to there, or something is coming in and out of there, like what Q said about, and something is coming from outer space and coming into that space, so nobody could be there to see it coming in and out. That's more like what I think, but only it has to be something installed or uninstalled, or that way the people on the ground around there can't see what's going on. You know what I mean? It isn't some guy's laptop, that's for sure.
No, these are just theories, and obviously I don't have my finger on the pulse of specifically what's happening over there. But there's a lot more that's going on than they are willing to indicate at this point right now. It stinks. There is something that they know that I think is apparently very serious, and just like no one can come up with an answer as to why that individual shot and killed over 50 people in Las Vegas at the conclusion of the investigation, they're still in Scooby-Doo mode going, oh, we don't know anything. That doesn't pass the smell test. This doesn't pass the smell test at all.
Yeah. Wow, man. That I've actually been following that article that you just read about that, and listening to videos and stuff like that. And I mean, there's a whole bunch of different ideas, and I stick with there can't be anybody there. They had to remove people to not, so they couldn't see what was going to happen, or they couldn't be attacked. I mean, they were saving everybody from being attacked. But I think it's more like the people had to go away because something's going on. They're doing something that they don't want people to see. So everybody had to go away.
That would be very clear. I would completely agree with that. Folks, we've been talking to Alan Thomas for a little over 2 hours. It's Thursday, September the 20th. It's 5 minutes after the hour of 10 o'clock here on the left coast, which means it's 1:05 a.m. on the right coast, which means it's Friday on the right coast. So I want to say thank you ever so much again to Alan Thomas for spending 2 hours with us here in the saloon. Folks, you need to go watch Alan's, all of his videos. He's got a great video archive in the Squatch Zone. And Alan Thomas is on Facebook. He's on Twitter. You can send him a tweet at Squatch Zone as well. Alan, do you have any shows that you're thinking about coming up in the not too terribly distant future?
I'm mostly I'm working on a video introduction to my channel, because everybody thinks that I only talked about Sasquatch because I named it Squatch Zone.
Right.
But everybody calls me Squatch, and I wasn't thinking of that when I named it. I was thinking of, me as a name, but I guess the public is seeing it as, hey, why do you talk about all this other stuff? So I'm going to make a little video and tell everybody what I talk about, which is everything, anything. And even them, if they want to talk about them, I don't care, whatever. And then I'm going to, as things come in, I'll talk about, the latest, greatest things that are happening in the world. And I like to do history, too. So really a little bit of everything. Just always try to keep it interesting.
Well, and bedtime stories, too. You tell bedtime stories.
Yeah, I do, yeah. I haven't done one in a while, but I'm working on them.
Folks, thank you to Alan Thomas ever so kindly. Demi, the studio cat, just came in. And I don't know if you can hear her in the background, but she's meowing. Demi kitty. Demi kitty is a little calico cat. So anyway, that's the end of the show. Alan Thomas, thank you ever so much for being here. And you will be back again. Thank you for your time, for your late night time, because it's like almost 10 after 10 o'clock here. And folks, we've been listening to Alan Thomas, and I thank you very, very much for you being here. And unfortunately for me, because I got to go CP by, got to take my car out tomorrow to get it fixed and have new tires put on. It's ta-ta time.
Monsieur! It's
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, thanks for listening to the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show. Live and direct right here on the SHR Media Network. If you want to contact me, you can find me on Twitter at bzep, on my blog at bloviatingzeppelin.net. My original intro music is by Possessed Tranquility. You can find them at reverbnation.com. Promotional consideration is by the Lockheed Martin Skunk Works and the Boeing Company. If it ain't Boeing, I ain't going. Also by Pratt & Whitney Engines Thrust. You can trust. Tiaras are by My Little Pony. Thanks to my personal KC 135 Kettle 1 refueling team, with whom I shall definitely be consorting in less than an hour. Thanks to Alan Thomas for listening, for being here live. Thanks to everyone for listening late, like Alan Thomas says in chat. Good night, everybody. Keep it squatchy. Thanks to everybody in chat. Thanks for everybody listening in podcast. Everybody have a great weekend. See you next Tuesday. In the meantime, God bless. Take care. Be safe.
Everybody quiet down now and get some sleep.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, Mama. Good night, Ben.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, Mama. Good night, Daddy.
Good night, children.
Good night, Daddy. Good night, Elizabeth.
Good night, John Boy. Good night, Jim Bob. Good night, Jim Bob.
Good night, Jim Bob.
What's going on? I was asleep. What's everybody doing?
Good night,
Good night, Jim Bob. Go to sleep.
Good night, and good luck.